So a little overview of what we'll be doing today. Done some welcome and introductions. We'll talk a little bit about how this work fits into the overall work of the City of Philadelphia. We'll give a little breakdown about Philadelphia Community Schools, and then we're going to move into two breakout rooms. So if you are here to work with the Philadelphia Reading Coaches program, you'll move into a small breakout room with Chalet and Oceana. If you are here to learn more about community schools in general and specifically our grocery giveaways and food pantries at our schools. To support those, you'll stay in the main room with me. And then we'll in both rooms be going over volunteer requirements and expectations. So yeah, let's do a little bit more of an introduction so you know who is here with us. Again, my name is Laura Crandall. I'm the Director of Food Security Initiatives with the city's Office of Children and Families. I will turn it over to Chalet.
Hello again, everyone. My name is Shalay Willis-Butts. I am the Philly Reading Coaches Manager.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Oceana Williams. I am the volunteer coordinator for Philly Reading Coaches.
Hi everyone, my name's Ty. I am the Philly Reading Coaches Volunteer Outreach and Engagement Vista. Nice to meet everyone.
And unfortunately, our Esther Roche Corrette, the operations manager for community schools, is not feeling well today, so she's not joining us. Normally, she would be doing this part of the orientation, so I'm going to try to do her justice by giving this overview of our community schools work. So the work, the community schools work, and our work with you all really is across two different offices at the city, the Mayor's Office of Education and the Office of Children and Families. We work really closely together. The distinction is not something you're going to all need to really worry about. But just a little bit more about the work of the Mayor's Office of Education. You can see some of the programs that are part of this office. It includes community schools and extended day, extended year schools, as well as things like adult education, foster grandparents, and much more. Um, and then our Office of Children and Families includes the Philly Reading Coaches, our food security initiatives, our PHL pre-K, a lot of prevention and support services, case management, and the Department of Human Resources. Human Services, sorry. It's been a long week. So as I shared, there's going to be two ways to really support our community schools at this orientation. One is through our community school grocery giveaways and food pantries. So all 20 of our community schools have a partnership with Philabundance, one of the largest food banks in the region. We've had that partnership in place since 2021. They're all able to order groceries, and many are also giving out fresh produce either through Philabundance or through a partnership we have with Sharing Access and Food Connect. And we need lots of support to make sure that food is getting out safely to school families, students, and neighbors. And then our Philly Reading Coaches program combines early reading support, access to books, and community volunteers to boost reading skills for K through 3 students. Their Philly Reading Coaches is currently at 14 different schools with plans to expand further. Okay, I think right now we are going to move right into our breakout rooms. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. Oceana, Chalet, anything I missed that you wanted to talk about with Big Group? All right. So I think Oceana is working on the breakout room. Chalet, were you going to say something?
Yes, just we're asking everyone before we transition to the breakout rooms if you can share with us which program or programs, because you are able to serve more than one, you're interested in supporting through volunteering. If you can put it in the chat, that would be helpful for us to get an idea of where we would like to go with this evening. So once again, if you're here for just one program, that's fine. If you want to serve both programs, every program we have, we will be happy to provide you with that information.
So Oceana, I'm actually seeing that everyone so far has said they are here for Philly Reading Coaches, in which case we don't need another breakout room, and
Okay.
I will exit the, the orientation. Um, so I guess just to be clear, is there anyone who is here specifically to support community schools, grocery giveaways, or food pantries? Speak now. Or you will have an opportunity in the future
Right.
to support those programs.
Speak now or speak again later. Yes.
Yes.
And we are sharing information about those opportunities as they come as well. Go, go ahead, Oceana.
I was just going to say to Lens, who said something in the chat that they're interested in other programs, again, this is not your last chance. If you participate in the Philly Reading Coaches orientation, you will be able to volunteer for community schools and food distribution as well in the future. We encourage it, in fact.
Great. All right. Well, I am going to say goodbye. I will just share in the chat since it has been a really tumultuous time with the lapse in SNAP benefits this month. The city does have a free food and meal finder. Sorry, trying to type and speak at the same time. If you know of people that are looking for free food and meal resources in the city, you can go to www.phila.gov/food and find an interactive map to search for all the free pantries and meal sites. So please share that resource and have a wonderful PRC orientation. Talk to you all later, Shalay and Oceana and
Thanks,
Ty.
Laura.
Bye.
All right. Thank you all. So we are going to transition into our conversation about Philly reading coaches. Give me one moment while I share a screen. All right. Can everyone see the presentation? All right. Wonderful. So let's jump into the conversation this evening, discussing Philly reading coaches. Here is our agenda. Starting off with some introductions and icebreakers from you all, learning about the program, getting more into the reading sessions, the materials that we have provided to our sites and and what you will use on site. As well as discussing building safe and motivating relationships. And we'll save for the end next steps if you're still in the process of submitting your paperwork, or if you are one of the fortunate ones and you're done and this was your last step, we will let you know what will come next. And of course, if you have any questions, you can save them for the end, but you can also ask them along the way. So we're open to that conversation. Jumping in, warming up into this evening's topic, this afternoon, sorry guys. What was your favorite childhood book and who inspired you as a child and why? You can answer one or both of those questions. You can answer on the mic or in the chat, whichever you feel comfortable with.
We love to hear your voices, though.
I'll jump in. My One of my favorite books as a kid was The Wind in the Willows. And I'd say the person who inspired me with my reading was my first grade teacher, Mrs. Stepp, who still is the answer to many of my security questions online.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else want to share?
I can share. I liked The
Yes.
Lightning Thief, which is the first book of the Percy Jackson series growing up. I was very into Greek mythology, so that was really cool when it came out. And as for inspiration, really just my mom, I think, just like a constant example of how to be a person.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I've shared this before. Anyone who mentions Percy Jackson series, I get a little bit triggered because I read all five except for the second half of the fifth book with my daughter, and she's been very disappointed with me ever since. She will not let me forget it. She is a senior in high school. We read it when she was in like fourth or fifth grade, so that's how long this feud has been going on. So thanks, Stevie. All right. I see in the chat, Lentz, you mentioned that Officer Trayvon was your inspiration. Would you like to share why or how?
Sure, I would love to. Hey, everybody, and I apologize in advance. Um, Currently at this time, my surroundings are a little noisy, but just to, I'll type it out if anything.
Okay, thank you. We look forward to hearing the story.
I'll
All
just
right.
go on there. My
Yeah, go
apologies.
for it. No, we can hear you fine. Go for it.
All right, thanks in advance. My inspiration growing up, not only to stay focused and to sustain an academic environment was Officer Trayvon. And the reason why is because during the times that he was on shift, he did a lot. And when I say he did a lot, he always kept us in mind. He always spoke words of inspiration that was something that, you know, kept us in a good headspace, kept us positive, kept us focused on our schoolwork, kept us interested in the, the safety part too of being in public because Officer Trayvon was an overseer. And what he did was he generally he generally kept watch of the area during school events like basketball games, football games, or just for solicitation purposes. He was very present within our school, in our community. And to say he went beyond and above his position, when not in reference to sharing certain words that have to be said, most people don't have to say certain things, but Officer Trayvon always saw fit to mention like, "Hey, did you know this?" Or "If you do this, this will happen." You know, like remember to tie your shoes. My apologies. Remember to tie your shoes. And like it was he placed us in a mindset to where we could remember each other, remember what was important, even if we were more focused on the game. And that really inspired me to keep that form of teaching, keep
Mhm.
that form of sustaining another's like environment. Really, what I learned was to orally promote a way of thinking because throughout our life we always have certain things that get us off rail and
Mhm.
disregard what we watch, disregard the food that we eat and what we experience throughout our days. We forget most of the things that connect us to our lessons that we previously learned. But
Mhm.
he installed within me the ambition to sustain that, to keep that because of who he was and how he spoke to us, how his presence itself. And like walking down the street, like I'm not going to just count how many birds I see, from what he installed through his presence. I'm going to be thinking to myself, I wonder what kind of birds are these? I wonder if we're going to learn about it in class. I wonder if it even matters.
And what
Those are
grade
the
was that, Lentz? What grade was that? Were you in?
This grade was sixth grade to seventh grade.
Awesome. That's a hard age to reach. And it sounds like it's a combination of the little things as well as the big things that Officer Trayvon was able to influence on you. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. And to add on to what others have shared as well, this is the sentiment. I hope everyone felt that story that Lentz shared with us, felt it, similarly to how he might have experienced it back then. And even as we were talking about sharing the books that we enjoyed reading growing up, these are the sentiments, the feelings, and memories that we hope to instill in the young people that we're reading with through these sessions. So thank you all for sharing on the mic and in the chat. Appreciate you all. So let's talk a little bit briefly about just the program itself, the model, and some of the pillars of the program. So Philly Reading Coaches is a program that is funded by the Office of Children and Families and implemented by our out-of-school time providers. The focus of the program is to support our young students, kindergarten through third grade, with access to books and access to you all so that they can develop a love for reading. Some of the ways that we do that is we make sure that through the relationships that you all build with the students, similar to what we heard about our officer, that you have those meaningful connections, the one-on-one relationships that you build after school, working on literacy skills, retaining and learning new literacy skills, and making an impact so that years from now, hopefully they'll remember you all and think of you all when they're thinking about this is why I love reading or this is how I learned to be a better reader. Our sessions are child guided, so we're asking them about their interests. We're asking them about encouraging them to make choices in terms of how they're spending that hour together with you all. It provides a sense of agency and autonomy for our students, giving them the opportunity to make those choices, maybe for the first time. Maybe they don't, always get those opportunities to do that. And this, it helps them to boost their confidence and to find their voice, and you'll be assisting them in that way. Of course, books are important in the reading program. We provide students not only with books on site, but also allowing them to take books home on a weekly basis. We hope to provide them with at least 25 books that they can take home throughout the year to add to their at-home library, to add to their reading at home. This encourages literacy not only while they're with you all, but even beyond, extended beyond when you are together. So this is our way of encouraging families to read together, and continue on the journey that we are all on together. Consistency is very important, making sure that kids feel comfortable and confident. These are the sentiments and the activities that you'll be going through to help boost these feelings and sentiments of the students. You'll be tracking progress, and allowing us all to see together the progress that the students have made along the way. And it encourages our students to want to keep coming back every week because of you all being there. So similar to our story of the officer, sorry, I'm going to keep referring back to him because I think that was a very inspirational story. You're serving as a mentor. You are supporting the children in that way so that they have an incentive to read, whether it's the books themselves or maybe just your smiling faces that makes them want to keep coming back and being inspired to have a more positive outlook about themselves and about their academics. We covered, this is just an FYI slide. You do not have to remember this, but we at the city like to use a lot of lingos, a lot of alphabets. And so if you hear some of these from time to time, whether it's in our emails or on site, just so you can understand who these people are and where they are, what they mean and how they're impacting you. So as Laura went over earlier, our program falls under the Office of Children and Families, specifically Children and Support Services. So we here with the city are supporting this program that is taking place at the sites within the out of school time program. So OST, out of school time, is the name of our citywide initiative that operates after school and summer programming. So these are a number of agencies that work with students at schools from kindergarten to high school. So you might hear names like Sunrise, which is at Southwark Elementary School, or Legacy, which is at Richard Wright Elementary School and Overbrook Education, so on and so forth. So these are the name of the agencies that are running the OST programming. The students that you will be working with are enrolled in OST, and they've been selected from the general population to um, receive our services. And so Philly Reading Coaches is kind of like a program within a program within a program. So this is us. We've already met myself as a manager. Oceana is our volunteer coordinator. She will email you the most, but occasionally you'll get some from me as well. Ty, you'll see her the most probably at the schools, getting feedback and having conversations with you all. And then lastly, you will meet the OST staff who will serve as a site coordinator. So after you've completed the intake process, submitted your paperwork, you've now attended the orientation, you will be handed over to one of our OST staff as the point of contact. So if you're running late or if you have questions, they're going to be the expert on the ground to provide information about the students and also being responsive to you as we adjust and work through your schedules. You will also meet a PRC program aide. So we are still recruiting for this position. We are almost there, which is very exciting, especially for this year. The PRC program aide is also a volunteer like yourself, so a reading coach, but one who has taken on a position of leadership and support of the OST provider in the program. So this person is helping to keep the sessions organized, so helping to set up the books and setting out the volunteer badges and sign-in sheets, also providing support for the other reading coaches. And here's where our folders are. Make sure you complete that reading log, reminders like that, and just serving as an additional support for OST staff because they're running general OST programming and also supporting Philly reading coaches. So as I mentioned, we are still looking for more individuals to help support our programs in this way. So if you feel so inclined to do so, please let us know. We would love to have you support. Another option for you all to once you fall in love with our program and it's like, wow, I just need to tell all my friends about that. That's great. Please consider serving as a PRC ambassador. We will make sure we provide you with some swag, a shirt, a mug. Maybe we have a couple of pins here. But this looks like when you're out in the community and you're hanging out with your friends, you're like, hey, let me tell you what I did on Tuesday and Thursday. I had a wonderful time. Let me tell you about my student. You should consider joining when you're going to, if you have a religious events or community events that you're attending, you go to the barber shop or the car shop, you can post flyers for us, even attending if there are any community events where sometimes we table and we're handing out flyers at those events. We've had lots of ambassadors come and join us at the table and they speak on our behalf and we get to just sit back and take pictures and enjoy the image. So if this is something, once you get involved, that you would like to continue to support us and help us recruit volunteers, we would love to have you as a PRC ambassador. Here's a list of our locations. This information is also on our website, so do not feel pressured to take pictures or try to memorize all of this. This is just to give you an idea of where our programs are located throughout the city. The map on the side is a map of the community schools, but in addition to that, we are at a few schools that are not listed on the map, but they are listed on the left. And we have our school names as well as the schedules. The schools that are notated, the red asterisk, are schools that have a large Spanish-speaking population of students. So if you are bilingual and would like to support our schools there, we would love to have you. It is not a requirement, just an FYI of this request. We mentioned that our target is to operate in 14 schools. We are currently operational in, I think, is it seven? Seven schools right now. The schools where we are not operating in yet is because we don't have enough volunteers there. So our target is to have at least 5 volunteers for a reading session to begin at that school. So once you get through the process and you are able to see the list of signups, you can make your decision accordingly. So whether you want to support a school that is near your home or your work, or if you're like, hey, I see this site has low numbers, let me offer my support at that school as well. The option is yours. So just keep giving you some information about that.
Okay, so just another question to get y'all thinking. Why do you think early literacy is important? And there are no wrong answers. You can either unmute yourself and share, or you can put it into the chat, maybe just one or two people.
Yeah, I mean, I think uh early literacy is like very important because I think the way that we think is really shaped by the words that we know. So giving kids the tools to be able to contextualize their world and also, explore their imagination and kind of just, also to be away from stuff like a screen and just really work on different types of intellectual like exercises, how to read, recognizing words, understanding patterns. It's good for early development because it helps to give the brain more tools and building blocks to construct their own ideas and to, it increases your ability to understand things further down the line when school catches up and things start to get more complicated. The more that you can read and comprehend and add context to situations, will help to like bolster a kid's ability to not only feel confident but also to have ability to use their own resources to help themselves out. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Shannon. And I just love the way that you speak, especially when you said it gives their brain the tools to build their own ideas, something along those lines. I really love, yeah, I just love the visual of that. And I see in the chat that Eileen said it's the basis of all other learning. Faith said it provides confidence at an early age. Stevie said it is easier to learn a language at an early age, and Asa said it is a path to a good future. And all of these are very true. And I see, Lens, you have your hand up. Did you want to share?
Yes, I'm actually in a more quieter environment now. But so the reason why I think that early learning with reading comprehension is a vital lesson and very beneficial and efficient for all young minds is because it sets the stage for data analytics. You cannot gather data if you cannot comprehend the literature that is being shared. And I state that because there are different forms of languages. People speak in numbers, people speak in tally marks, people speak in symbols, people speak with pictures, braille. So the basis of the English context of learning how to read and write prepares the young mind to be able to apprehend everything else from biography to history and scientific affairs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Just like everyone has been saying, literacy is the most important foundation. So it's great to be able to help the students with that. And I see that Ingrid said it is an important foundation to lifelong learning, cognitive development, social and emotional growth. All right. Thank you, everyone, for such great answers. Yeah, this is really great. So I'm just going to pass it back to Chalet so we can continue on.
Thank you, Ty. Thank you all. Yes, foundation is very important, and in keeping in mind that while we were working with kindergarten through third grade students, because those are the most formative years, which makes sense, keeping in mind that some of our students are not where they should be, right? That's why you guys are here. So you might have a kindergartner who is on a kindergarten level, or they might be on a pre-K level. Same as with a third grader, up to a third grader who might be reading at a different level. So we're here to make sure that we make that process wherever their journey leads them. We can make it hopefully less bumpy, a little bit more comfortable for them, and of course enjoyable because we want to build lifelong learners. So thank you all for emphasizing the foundation of literacy. just talking a little bit about the why behind our program. So as I mentioned, speaking of the different levels, um, 71% of Philly fourth graders are not reading at grade level. That's a huge number. Um, Philly schools rank fourth from the bottom in reading of big city districts. And so the work that we're doing here through our program, and there are a number of other programs throughout the city, is crucial to help close that gap as best as we can, little bit by little bit, year by year. We know that home reading is very important. Children from low income households get around 25 hours of pre-K reading in comparison to children from higher income households who receive between 1,000 and 1,700 hours of reading from a wide selection of books. So again, we're trying to bridge the gap just in the time that we have after school together. In addition to us providing the students with books on site and taking them home, that's one way that we do that. Having books at home is an encouragement for the literacy practices that we're working with. We were able to see in this past school year about a little over 100 volunteers who read with our students. So that is amazing, and we're already on track with surpassing that number. So shout out again to Oceana and Ty for all of their hard work, as well as our PRC ambassadors who've been helping us recruit. And so last year we served 123 students in 11 schools across the city. Together, our coaches and students read over 2,800 books, totaling 1,386 hours together. So let's beat that. Let's beat that this year. We can do that with your help. In addition to those numbers, we saw a big change in attitude amongst our students and their approach to learning. So improved self-concept, fluency, confidence, and motivation. So again, we're continuing on that journey together. It's exciting to see some students who returned from last year who are participating in this year. I'm like, oh, I remember that. I remember that little boy. He was very enthusiastic. And so we get to see some of the longevity now that we have a few years under our belt within the program. So, Philly Reading Coaches is based on SMART, Start Making a Reader Today. And a lot of the evidence that we have to support our why with our model and operation comes from them. And so they found that intrinsic motivation and engagement with reading is what is most important to see some of those literacy gains. So, the more motivation and engagement a student has, the more they're going to spend time reading. And as a byproduct, the more likely they will achieve grade level benchmarks. So that's why our program focuses on consistent reading engagement, increased reading motivation, and boosting student confidence. So your role as a Philly reading coach is going to support that, your relationship that you build with your student. We're going to talk about all the supplies that we have on site for you, but it's really that relationship that is going to help us to achieve gains with the students. So you're going to help them build resilience, growth, social emotional skills, as well as education. Put on a mentoring mindset, thinking about the intentionality that you're bringing to the space, showing that you are caring, that you are genuine, and having that type of attitude is what is going to empower this journey.
All right, you guys. Thank you, Chalet, for sharing all of the context and background, helping us set the stage to now get into what the reading sessions look like. So, we will start by talking about what the day-to-day or weekly sessions will look like for reading coaches, and then we'll backtrack a little bit and talk about what the first one, two, three, first few reading sessions will look like and how to kind of get introduced to the program, introduce yourself to the program aides and your students. All right, so in general, a day in the life of a reading coach, you will check in to your school. Once you guys select a site, we will send you a first day email with all the details and information you'll need, introducing you virtually to your program aide and site coordinator. So you'll know who to look for when you get there. Then once you arrive on site, you will find your program aide and sign in to retrieve your volunteer badge and your folder and workbook. So everyone's going to get a blue folder and a buddy book, which we will look at. I have pictures of those in a few slides. And then you will find a seat and prepare to welcome your reading buddy. All right, next, that is kind of what you're going to do as you get to the site. And then you will get into we broke it down into three different parts, which we like to call the building blocks of our reading sessions. So even though we have these numbered as one, two, and three, this is not a linear process. You might start with one, then go to two, and then three, but you'll always be circling back to all of them. Once you finish with confidence building, you're always going to go back to relationship building and skill building. These things all kind of work in tandem with each other to create that helpful and warm environment for you and the student. So first, relationship building. You will complete the intro worksheet, or at least we recommend that you do. That's going to be found in your folder. This is just to help to get you to get to know the student, and so they can get to know you as well. Then low stakes reading activities, which of course we will go into in a few slides. Number two, skill building. So this is actually cracking open those books, looking at the resource bin, the buddy book, etc. Then number three, confidence building. This can look like incentives, acknowledgments, or giveaways. Like I mentioned in the line above, we have a resource bin. Within the resource bin, you will find a treasure chest that's going to have all sorts of goodies. There's toys, there's stickers, there's fidgets, there's Play-Doh, I think. There's a bunch of different things you can use to encourage the students to progress and encourage them to love to read and have a positive experience. We really just want to positively reinforce the reading experience for them. So every student is going to look different. And every reading pair is going to look different as well. So one student might need some encouragement actually finishing a book, or one student might just need encouragement to just sit down for long enough. Kids are very wiggly, like we heard someone say in one of our meetings today. So I think finding what your student needs and helping them get there using creative things like incentives and acknowledgments, little gifts, etc. This also doesn't have to be like a physical incentive. You can also say, all right, if you sit down for 20 minutes straight, then you can color. Or if you read out loud for 3 pages, then you can draw a picture or something like that. So you guys can get creative depending on the relationship that you build with your student. Then at the end of the session, you will complete the reading log and the session log. These are going to help you guys keep track of the sessions, help us know what's going on in your sessions as well, since unfortunately we cannot be on site with you every day. After that, you're going to make sure the books and materials are returned to their proper homes. Find the program aid, find the resource bin, return everything. Keep in touch with your program aid and site coordinator to make sure where they want to see things go, they are going, then returning the folder and workbook and signing out. Also, we have our little word bubble in the corner. Remember, these are child-guided reading sessions. So back to those building blocks. These are recommendations, but of course, like I said, every reading pair is going to look different. Every child wants to guide the session in a different way. So let them have that agency and, control to do what they want to do with you as a helper, as a mentor, like we said.
Oceana, I just want to take a
Yes.
moment to address the question that was in the chat
hmm
about being assigned to one versus multiple students. Ty's response, you'll be assigned to one student. Of course, it also depends on attendance, so whether your attendance as well as the student's attendance. So there may be some times when you might work with a different student or multiple student, but the idea is to build a relationship with that same student week to week. So that's where that encouragement of attendance on our OST side, reminding families that, hey, we have Philly reading coaches today. Make sure your child comes, as well as once they start loving hanging out with you, they'll be like, oh, my reading coach is coming today. I have to make sure I'm, at the OST program after school. So ideally, one-on-one, same student. It might switch depending on attendance.
And thanks, Shirley, for that. I will address the other question in the chat. Eileen asked, while she wants to commit, there will be dates she can't attend due to travel. Is it still possible to be a reading coach? So it is a weekly commitment. However, we do have some coaches that we onboarded as substitutes or fill-ins, I guess. And these are coaches that come when they can. And if there is another reading coach absent that week, they will step in for them and read with their student. If all the coaches are there and there is no student to read with that day, there are usually other things to do on site, like organize the books or help with recording things in our database or different things like that. So that's kind of something you can work out with the program aides and site coordinators. So Eileen, if you want to shoot us an email, we can talk more about that. All right. So, first reading sessions, let's go back to number 1, getting to know each other. Then number 2, explore reading interests, and number 3, launch reading journey. So, as I go through these, this doesn't necessarily have to be reading session 1, reading session 2, reading session 3. Like I said, the pairs are going to look different. Some students might breeze through the intro worksheet. Some students might be super talkative, and you guys might talk about their favorite color for 30 minutes. You don't know how things are going to go, so take it as you will. The intro worksheet might take 2 sessions, or you might get through 2 worksheets in the first session alone. So be flexible. So before I get into the first few sessions, we'll look at the reading folder. So you're going to have a blue folder. It's going to have a Philly Reading Coaches sticker on it. And these are some of the main worksheets you are going to find in that resource folder. So we have a bookmark in the upper left corner from Read by Fourth that has some examples of comprehension questions that you can ask while reading books with your students. Then we have the Reading Pair Introduction worksheet, which I will get into in the next slide. Then your reading log. This is in the middle here, with the big Philly Reading Coaches at the top. You will record every session, the reading date, your name, so the reading coach name, books read on site, and the book you give away. We mentioned at the beginning that every student gets to take 1 book home per week, so you'll just record the title. If for some reason they don't take a book home that week, you can write that in and say why that didn't happen. And this is required. So this is a weekly requirement just to help us keep track of what's going on in the sessions. And then we have our Me and My Reading profile here with those little animals on it, which I will get into more in a few slides as well. Same with the Reading Rainbow packet. So I'll go through all of this as we move forward. All right, first reading session. We recommend that you start with the introduction worksheet, but of course, before that, you will arrive 15 minutes early, ideally to meet the other volunteers and get acquainted with the space and introduce yourself to the program aide and your OSD site coordinator. Then you'll sign in, grab the student's folder and workbook, like I mentioned, and meet and greet your student with enthusiasm and excitement. This is very important, but it can also look like different things depending on you. So some people may not be loudly enthusiastic and excited. That might look a little bit quieter than some people. So I like to say that a smile goes a long way and just kind of exuding happiness and joy to be there, because that's really what we want to foster in these sessions. We want to, like I said, positively reinforce reading. So you don't have to be jumping up and down when you welcome the student, but just they're little sponges. So if you are happy to be there, they are going to be happy to be there as well. Then you will spend the reading session getting to know each other by completing the intro worksheet. So I love this because they're really easy questions to answer, and there's a column for the student answer and your answer, so it doesn't feel like an interview or a quiz or anything. It's really just to help you guys have a conversation. You can see if they can write their own answer just to see if they're able to. If not, you guys can write it in for them, or you can just talk about it. Up to you. Moving. Oh, yep. Okay.
Yes. So building on to what Oceana was saying about the first few reading sessions, you're taking that time to get to know each other. Why do you think that's important? Why do you think it's important to get to know each other before jumping into the books and into the reading? So you can either put it in the chat or 1 or 2 people can come on the mic and share.
I don't mind sharing. I think it's important to like establish a rapport because I think we all have experienced this. It's kind of nerve-wracking to not know what you're doing. You know, it's very like vulnerable to practice a skill that you aren't confident in yourself. So building that rapport kind of builds this kind of confidence behind their reading. So like the more that they feel comfortable with you, the more they're willing to kind of try new things and read more.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Shannon. Ingrid, I see you're unmuted.
Yes. For me, I believe it's important, and I have found that it also, those nonverbal cues is very important. So that gives a sensory space that the child feels comfortable in the presence of the adult or the reading coach or the volunteer. So starting to share, it may be linguistic initiative, but also that nonverbal
Mm.
space, I believe, begins to bring a little more of a comfort zone for hopefully for most children.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Making that comfort, making that trust is very important to build that foundation for the relationship. And I see in the chat, getting more comfortable with each other. It's important to establish a connection to make the child feel at ease, creating a safe space where they can try new things. All of this is very true. So thank you all for sharing. I'm going to pass it back to Oceana.
Thanks, Ty, and thank you guys all for your wonderful answers. I do want to shout out Ingrid. I love what you said about the nonverbal language. I know we're literacy program, we talk a lot about words, but from a linguistic point of view, nonverbal cues are huge, and I think we maybe don't pay attention to that as much as we should. So very good to keep in mind. Thanks, Ingrid. All right. Moving on to the second reading session. Of course, take that with a grain of salt. This might not be the second reading session, could still be the first, could be the third. That's the last time I'll say that. So we are now moving into completing the Me and My Reading Profile worksheet. So I said the reading log is required. This is the only other thing in your folder that is required. So that's not in quotes, it is required, sorry. It is a pre and a post assessment. So we put a lot of importance on this because it is something that we kind of track, I guess, over the course of the year. You guys will complete this when you begin with your student and at the end in May when you finish up. So we don't track literacy progress per se in the sense that we're not quizzing them. They don't take a like pre and final assessment or test or exam. It really is just to gauge their motivation and attitude towards reading because we're about making reading fun and really boosting their confidence. We want to see how that progresses over the course of however many months you are engaged in the program. So there are several different questions. It is a little bit more reading based than the intro worksheet, and this is a little bit more of an assessment, whereas the last one was more of a conversation. But this can also be a conversation and not feel too um, serious, I guess. So when you are guiding them with this activity, you can use the reading coach script on the right there just to help guide you. You, of course, don't have to follow it. This is not an acting class, but it just is just to help guide you through this. When you ask them the questions, we recommend that you try to have as neutral a tone as possible. Like I said before, they're sponges. If you ask these questions with a certain tone of voice, they're going to pick up on that. So, for example, let's go down to the elephant question. It says, learning to read is, and if you say it in the following manner, not very important, sort of important, or very important. They're going to pick up on that and it might kind of lead them to a certain answer. And we really want to have their genuine response to these. So just keep that in mind as you're going through this with the students. All right. So yes, this is just to kind of gauge their motivations and understanding of how they feel about reading themselves going into the program and then at the end. All right, third reading session. We are now ready to launch the reading journey. We've warmed up, we know each other a little bit better. So before we get into the books, we maybe start with the Reading Rainbow warm-up packet. Opening a book can be scary, it can be intimidating. Someone mentioned that it is a vulnerable thing to do. I completely agree. But now you've set the tone, and this is a way for you kind of to warm them up and also figure out their starting point. So on the next slide, we'll talk a little bit more about what this packet is used for. All right, Reading Rainbow Packet. Um, there's three at the bottom here. You see three different texts, three different passages. Each is at a sort of different starting point, different level. We try not to use the word level during our reading sessions, but I will say that here just so you guys understand. So green, you'll kind of progress through these, starting with the green, going to the blue, and then progressing on to yellow. In the left corner here, you see that this is one of our books, an example of one of our books with a little green sticker in the corner. All of our books from this series, our Scholastic Our Stories series, are going to have a little color on them, a little sticker, and that corresponds to kind of these different starting points with these passages. So you'll start with the green, and if they're able to, or I guess let's start with, if they are really struggling with the green, then you can start with the green books. And I will say, if they cannot get through the green at all, which is a possibility, like Shalay was saying at the beginning, some of our students really maybe are reading at a pre-kindergarten level. And that is absolutely okay. That is why we have things like flashcards and different activities that you can start warming them up with. You can also just read to them for the first few weeks or months, however long it takes. If they are able to get through some of the green, then you may start with the green books. Same with the blue. If they feel pretty comfortable with that, maybe you start with the blue and work your way up to yellow, so on and so forth. So this is also just a recommendation. Remember that these are child-guided sessions. So with this, yes, you can guide them towards these as a starting point, but if your student sees one of the yellow books and they say, "Oh my God, that looks so cool. I really want to read that book," you can let them try. And then if they don't get through it, have them describe the pictures or read it to them or just help them through it. So it's a flexible system. All right, moving on to the materials. We are gonna just breeze through this real quick. This is our resource bin. We have crayons, we have activity books. Like I said, we have our treasure chest with incentives, gifts, giveaways, etc. And yeah, stickers. What else we got? That I think I basically covered it. You'll see when you get there. We have pillows as well. So all good things for you guys to browse with your students. Very fun. We're very excited about this year. The buddy workbook. I mentioned this earlier. This is something you guys will use throughout the year, and if you guys run out halfway through, we will give you new ones. But there's about 80 different worksheets in these that kind of break it down from those green starting point all the way to the yellow, so you guys can progress through, find which ones work for you and your student. We have book reviews, different kind of phonics worksheets. There are word searches and word scrambles, things like that. So it's just a really good way to break the reading session up a little so it's not just sitting there and reading the whole time. You can also decorate your buddy book or have your student decorate the buddy book so it feels like their own little uh, book to create themselves. All right, quickly, the books. We have carefully curated and chosen the books for our sites. Um, we're very excited about them. You will see when you get there, we have different ones, authentic literature, window books, mirror books. Window books and mirror books, I'll go into these just a little bit before we move on. Window books are a way for these students to see the lives of others through books. I'm sure we've all read books that allow us to see experiences outside of our own. And then mirror books allow the young readers to see images and reflections of their own lives. It helps them to kind of foster their sense of self and cultural identity and build self-esteem as well.
Okay, so in the interest of time, maybe just one person can come on and share an example of a window or mirror book that you've ever read. And then if anyone else wants to share, feel free to just type it into the chat. So either a book where you saw your experiences reflected or where you got a window into another experience or another world.
Well, I'll share an example while we're all thinking, because we're all thinking, like, I know I've read one, but I'm not quite sure if I recall. So I'll help us out. A couple of years ago, the Free Library has one book Philly every year. And a couple of years ago, the book was called True Biz. And it was a book written about the deaf community. And so it was a school where students would live there. And so it just followed a number of different characters who were some were hearing and some were not able to. And it was, I see you nodding, Lisa. Mine was just blown. I was like, wow, I had no idea there was like this whole other world that I would have never considered. So that would be a window book. It allowed me to see another's experience, perspective, and culture.
I'll share one. I read a mirror book a couple years ago called The Great Believers, and it was about people going through the AIDS epidemic and in Chicago. And when I lived in Chicago back in my 20s, I lost about 20 people to AIDS. And so it really was, I mean, it was not only expressed what I went through, but it was the same places. It was the same, like, it really was like me going through my life in my 20s. So just had a very profound effect on me, I feel like. It's Rebecca Mackay, if anybody's interested.
Thank you so much for sharing, Lisa. And I'm sorry to hear that as well. But yeah, that's a great example of a book where you can see your own experience reflected back at you. So thank you for sharing. If anyone else wants to put anything in the chat, that's totally fine, but I am gonna pass it back to Oceana.
Thank you, Shalay and Lisa, for sharing. I think both mirror and window book experiences can be very powerful, and we can learn a lot from those. So, moving on to our other books, we have, we tried to cover all of our bases here. We got nonfiction, informational text for those science lovers, leveled readers. I don't know if somebody mentioned Junie B. Jones. Oh no, someone mentioned Judy Blume. I loved both of those. So. Judy B. Jones, leveled readers, so kind of for all of the different colors or levels of readers. And then our decodables. So this is our scholastic curriculum. It is new to us this year. It is called the Our Stories curriculum. We're very excited about them. I don't know if anyone has ever heard the word decodable or knows what it is. They are awesome for especially early readers, but everyone who is in the reading experience. It really breaks down phonics skills and builds on those letter sound relationships. So when you turn to the very last page of these books, it will have some of the high frequency words, some of the challenge words that you can go back and find in the story. It'll also break down, like I said, some of those letter sound relationships as well. Another reason why we love these books, and we can go to the next slide real quick. Another reason why we love these books is because they are written by by diverse authors, and on the back of the book you can see the kind of description of who the author is. You can see their picture. For a lot of our like little emerging writers, this can be very inspirational to see um, that they can also write a book, or that that books are written by real people. I don't know if a lot of 6-year-olds understand that books don't just like appear, that actual people are writing them. So that can be super inspirational to foster that sense of, oh, I can do it too. And they are all for all levels, K through third. And this is something that goes along with the Our Stories curriculum. It is the teacher guide. So every site will have some of these in that resource bin. This is super helpful if you just need a little bit of extra inspiration, some more ideas on how to read a book with the students. So it has some before reading advice, after reading advice, during your reading, and you can just look through this a little bit more when you're on site or when we share this presentation with you guys. I won't go into it in too many details right now, but you can go back and look at it. Super helpful. I love it. All right, now our take-home books. So this is one of my favorite parts of the program. I am currently working on building my home library after all these years, and these kids get to start at a really young age. I know I still have, like, in my mom's basement, some of the books that I acquired as a young kid, and I love looking back through them, and usually they're missing pages or they're soggy somehow. But it's still great to have those memories from back when you were a kid. So, every week, you and your student will go see your program aide, and they will help you find a book to take home. Those are stories curriculum that we were just talking about. Each of those has a copied set. So just to give you sort of a visual of what that's going to look like. You have 3 plastic bags with handles, little tote bags of the Our Stories curriculum. One bag is going to be the green books, one bag is going to be the blue books, and one bag is going to be the yellow books. Some of them will have one set will have a sticker on them that says permanent collection. It's a teal sticker. That means those stay on site. There will be another 3 bags, so this is the take home collection, and you will also see that written on the bags and the books, and those are that students are able to take home. So for example, if they read Bring It On Gran in class or during the reading session and they really, really want to take it home and show their family how well they read that book that day, or just, or take a new one home, they can do that as well. And then you will record that book in your student's reading log with the help of the program aide if you need it. And remember that this is a big deal. It's an awesome, exciting opportunity. And so just kind of celebrate it. We're all about celebration and reading coaches. So try to be excited and help foster that excitement for the students as well when they're taking home these books.
All right, checking in. We're mostly through with our conversation. We're moving now into building safe and motivating relationships, and we'll end with next steps, submissions of paperwork, any questions that you may have. So let's get into it. We're going to go right into the answer of that question because of time's sake. So, thinking about the qualities of a good volunteer, we spoke a lot about the relationship and the consistency with, so that we can establish these relationships. Consistency is going to be at the top of our list. So, as much as you're able to showing up every week, to the session that you signed up for, is going to be really helpful in doing that. And again, we're encouraging our families as well to make sure our students show up every week so that we can have time to develop trust and confidence and make progress throughout the year. Timeliness, showing up on time, if not even early, is helpful so that you can come in, get settled, and get right to working with your student. Communication, if you are going to be late, if you're going to be out for whatever reason, on vacation, we ask that you communicate that with the site staff. You can include us in the correspondence if you're sending emails as well, or just speaking to the site staff on site, or making phone calls so that we can make arrangements in your absence if we're able to do so. Also, leaving feedback with us. There's some last year we got a lot of feedback from our reading coaches. Unfortunately, it came at the end of the school year, so a lot of things that we could have addressed earlier on, we didn't find out until the end, and so that left us a little sad. So, if you have feedback, whether it's hey, can we fix this or adjust that, or suggestions, celebrations, we want to hear from you as often as possible. Ty will be out at the sites, especially starting in December. So have your questions ready, have your feedback, your wonderful stories ready for her because she will be reaching out to you all and saying, hey, do you have a couple of minutes? You want to share your thoughts? So we do want to hear from you and we do our best to implement them as much as we're able to. So let us know what's going on. We ask that you're present. So you sign up for a session, you want to make a difference and an impact with the student. So for that hour that you are there, we ask that you are there, not just physically present, but mentally, emotionally, all that you can pour into that session so that, again, it can be meaningful and you can make an impact. One of the feedback we received from our reading coaches last year was, hey, I love working with my student and the other reading coaches on site are great, but are there opportunities to connect with other reading coaches at other sites? So that's something that we took to heart and we have begun implementing this year. So there will be opportunities to get together with other reading coaches across sites. So celebrations for special occasions. So we have a winter event coming up that we're going to invite not only volunteers with Philly reading coaches, but our other citywide volunteer programs. And then every month, we invite everyone to come together. We have a session tomorrow, Community Connections. We'll have a different topic every month. Tomorrow is active reading. So we'll see a little snippet tonight, but we'll have a more in-depth conversation or presentation from Read by Fourth. So every month is a different topic and an opportunity not only to learn and build skills together, but also to communicate, hey, what's going on over at Southwark? Well, have you seen this at Gideon? And share those stories with each other. Respect, of course, is very important. Respecting the students, each other, making sure that we respect you, treating each other with kindness. That is also going to go a long way in building these relationships. Some safety tips. Do not be alone with a student. There should be an OST staff present in the space. So that's for your safety as well as the student's safety, making sure everything is supervised, using appropriate touch and language. Our kids are going to fall in love with you probably instantly. And so they're going to want to give you a hug. They're going to want to maybe give high fives, make sure that those touches are initiated by the student, maintain appropriate boundaries, again, for your safety as well as their safety. Any concerns that you have, report them immediately. Philly reading coaches are mandated reporters, so a part of our onboarding process you have already taken or maybe will take the mandated reporter training. So if you see anything that is of concern, report that to your OST staff immediately. If there's an incident that happens on site or you become aware of it, again, we want to make sure that everyone is safe and that concerns can be addressed. Respect student privacy. So you will love their cute little faces and you're like, oh, I want to take a picture and I want to post it and share with all of our friends. Please do not do that. Yes, take pictures. Please do not post them on your personal social media. So we will provide you with opportunities to share photos with us. We want to make sure that everyone is cleared. All waivers have been signed. The students have waivers that are signed as a part of their application process as well. But again, we want to make sure that everyone is respected and feels safe. So if you do take pictures, send them to us. Do not post them on your personal pages. We ask that you will follow sign in and sign out procedures. Each site will provide you with those instructions. So just make sure you adhere to that, wearing your badges at all times, staying in approved areas. So you've been given a designated space for reading. Sometimes that space may change. They may say, hey, actually, we can't use that this week, or we now have to use this other room. So just whatever space you've been delegated to, please remain there. Same thing with restrooms. They'll tell you which restrooms to use. Um, as I mentioned, as you know, there's a process for signing up for our program. So please do not invite other family members or friends or either other children because we want to make sure that we have paperwork and documentation on everyone who is in the space. Um, Use only PRC materials. We have a lot of materials. Actually, some of our providers kind of hurt my feelings a little bit earlier. I said, hey, do you guys want to order more books? And a lot of them were like, no, please, no more books. We have so many books, so little storage. I said, okay, well, we'll try again later. If there's a book that you say, hey, I remember I read this when I was a kid, or I read this to my child, or maybe Oceana can bring her soggy books from her mom's house. You say, I would love to bring this in. You should have never told me that, Oceana. Um, Run it by your OST staff first. So ask them, is it okay if I bring this book in so that they can make sure that it is appropriate? So we won't ban you from bringing in other materials. We just ask that you run it by the OST staff first before you do so. Please dress appropriately. You do not have to dress up. You do not have to dress business casual. You can be comfortable, but you are mentors, so be respectful in your attire. Be mindful of the words and images on your clothing, making sure everything is covered. Please do not bring any weapons on site. You will be on school district property that is not allowed on site, nor is smoking. We have smoke-free zones. So if you engage in those practices, please do that on your own time, not on school property. Hopefully that is pretty straightforward and I didn't hurt anyone's feelings thinking, oh man, I was just about to bring that. But no one here. So looking into the more fun stuff, the reason why you're here, how to be a fun and effective reading coach. We will watch a video that demonstrates this a little bit. But just for the sake of conversation, some of the keys to building a strong reader and fostering a love of reading is allowing, once again, our students to make those choices. So encouraging them, what is it that you would like to do today? What would you like to read today? Giving them as many options as possible within, the safety, and within boundaries, of course. So allowing them to have that autonomy and developing a sense of confidence, like what they think and what they feel actually matters. And then incorporating fun and engaging activities. We have a lot of stuff, if you couldn't tell. We have so many things that we provided, but also you have your imagination, you have your personal experiences and your background, so you'll be bringing that as well, and remaining as flexible as possible so the students can really explore what literacy is all about beyond just reading books or sitting down all day. We can be flexible, we can move around, and engage with literacy in a number of different ways. So that's what you'll be bringing to the table. Understand and model critical thinking. So, thinking about the stories that you'll be reading, whether you're reading or even telling stories, talking about it, thinking about it, asking questions, this is also a part of literacy as well. So, you're helping them to understand sequences and stories and perspectives, emotions, even. So, ask open-ended questions, help them make predictions about the end of the book even if you don't crack open a single page and you don't get past the cover of the book, there's so much conversation that can take place even from a cover or from an image in the book. You might have, I think some of our reading coaches have said today, or even in other scenarios where a lot of students just like to draw and doodle and fidget a little bit, get a little wiggles out while the reading coach is reading to them. They're still grasping, they're still taking it in, and it's an opportunity for conversation as well. Lastly, nurturing a joyful experience. Motivation starts with joy and confidence. We are not forcing anyone at any point in time with this program. We're not forcing our students to be a part of the program. So you may have a student who appears to desperately need your help. Maybe they even want to be there, but for whatever reason, maybe they change their mind. I don't feel like doing it today or at all. If that is the case, then we can do some switching around or even let's take a break and let's try it again at another point in time. That doesn't happen all the time, but it has happened a time or two in the past where a student was just like, no, this is not for me. I do not want to be here. We are not forcing anyone to participate in the program. And again, even if they say they're very vocal about not wanting to read that day, let's try something else. Let's do something else. Let's have a conversation. We don't have to read. Um, Help the student feel comfortable and try, even if they make mistakes. That's going to be really, really big in this relationship building, the encouragement to just try it out, because they might feel intimidated and have other experiences that make them scared to try. We feel that way as adults too. I'll speak for myself. I feel that way as an adult too. And then regularly acknowledge and celebrate the students' reading achievement. So if they can't, we've had reading coaches give us feedback like, wow, the student, I knew they might struggle with reading, but they can't even write their own name or identify letters. Hey, what can they do? Celebrate that. Encourage that so that they can feel accomplished and feel motivated to continue trying. All right, I promise you a video that is taking its sweet time coming up. There we go. All right. This video is from Read by Fourth. These are parents this demonstrating the ABCs of active reading with their children. So we will watch this for the next 6 minutes.
Welcome. We're so glad you've joined us for this session on active reading, created by Read by Fourth campaign partners. What we're focusing on today is how to make the most of the time we spend reading together with our children, because researchers have found, and we've learned from our own experience, that one of the best things we can do to prepare our children to become strong readers is not just read to them, but stop and talk about what we're reading. That's what active reading is all about, having a conversation about what we're reading together. From the time that they're babies and toddlers and big kids before we know it, these early conversations lay the foundation for strong language skills, vocabulary, and reading comprehension as our children grow. A trick we use to remember the components of active reading are the ABCs. A for ask questions, B for build vocabulary, and C for make connections. Next, we're going to watch a video to see this in action with Philadelphia families. While we watch, look out for things that you're already doing and new ideas that you might want to try. And especially keep an eye out for the ABCs. Notice how the families are asking questions, building vocabulary, and making connections.
What book do you want to choose? Oh, that looks like a good one.
You get to pick out a special book, whatever one you want. Girl power? Nice.
I'm gonna pick this one again. This one. Llama.
Llama, you like the llama book?
Llama.
Water is, where's the water?
Ew.
In his hat, yeah. How does he feel? Look at his face. Is he feeling sad about that?
Let's look at the ladybug. How many black dots are on the ladybugs?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Very good.
What kind of animals you say?
Hippo, elephant, the giraffe.
The giraffe. And you know what this is that he's using to make the canoe go? It's a paddle. Paddle.
And you see what they're doing with their hands in the picture? So what do you think applauded is? What are they doing?
Putting their hands together.
They are, and what is that called?
Clapping.
Clapping, yes!
With a trail of chaos left in her wake.
What's chaos?
What's chaos? Chaos is when everything is just a mess all around. There's no order. Duck wears diapers. Do you wear diapers, Elliot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's wearing a 9. What else? What's
Glasses.
on his glasses? Who wears reading glasses?
Mommy does.
Mommy does.
He'll drape you like royalty with that cape. And what's the animal cape for?
For the hair. So it won't get on your shirt or nothing.
Oh, you won't get on your shirt?
What letter is that?
G.
G. And what is this? You play it.
Guitar.
A guitar.
So now let's start with A, asking questions. Sometimes we just want to check in and make sure our child is with us, that they understood something important or noticing what's happening in the pictures. Those are often what we call closed questions, where there is a right or a wrong answer. As much as we can, we also want to ask open-ended questions. Those are different because they start a conversation. We might ask, what do you think they'll do next? Or what would you do in this situation? Now for B, build vocabulary. Keep an eye out for opportunities to teach your child new words as you read. In the video, some of the ways we saw families doing this were using clues from the story, looking at the picture, and acting things out. When your child starts school, they'll start to sound out words for themselves, and some of your time reading together will be letting them practice reading to you. Well, that's really important. We also want to continue reading out loud to our children too, even after they've started to read on their own. Picking up vocabulary is an important reason. When they get started as a young reader, the books your child can practice on their own will be pretty simple, while they're still able to comprehend books way above that level. So when you continue reading to your child and talking about what you're reading, you're building their background knowledge and vocabulary for all kinds of things. Then, as they grow and become more confident as a reader themselves, that knowledge will help them better understand what they're reading. The C in the ABCs. Making connections is when we help our child connect with their reading to their own experience. You might ask something like, remember when we had that experience? Or have you ever felt like that? To really try and start a conversation and connect over the books you're reading. Last, not one of the ABCs, but we also want to just enjoy ourselves. Sometimes that means we're super animated and silly like these active readers here. Sometimes it means we're just enjoying the quiet snuggle time together. Find whatever works for you and whatever suits your child's mood that day. So tonight at bedtime, after school, or whenever reading together fits into your daily routine, we encourage you to think about the ABCs. Look for opportunities to stretch your child's learning by asking questions, building vocabulary, or making connections to their experience.
I've now seen this video so many times. I'm quoting it under my breath as I watch. I'm like, oh, this is where it's like guitar. I hope you all enjoyed that. I'm trying to get out of this video. Oh, I need to present again. So we have re this video, copies of this on our document library, which we will send to you after our session. One day we're going to hide that slide at the appropriate time, passing it over to Oceana.
For the sake of time and to allow time for questions, I might just skip this slide. It's really just a reminder. We did talk about all of these things. It's just a reminder on what to do when your student doesn't want to read. We will be sending this presentation out to you guys so you can take a look after. It's just about the workbook, reading out loud to them, choosing an activity, giving incentive, all things we discussed. So we can allow time for questions at the end.
Okay. Yes, be creative, ask for help. There we go. That sums up that previous side. We will send you the link to our document library that has, if you want to watch more videos or read in more detail, some resources. If you come across resources, share it with us and we can add it to the document library. All right, next up in questions, because we have 3 minutes left. So here is a list of all of our the requirements that we are collecting from you, so the background clearances. All of them are free except for the FBI fingerprint check. If you have to get that done because you are not a Pennsylvania resident or you have been a resident for less than 10 years, you will need to get your fingerprints completed. That's $23-ish. Otherwise, if you've lived in Pennsylvania for 10 or more years, you may sign the FBI waiver. So all of these clearances are free to you. We have a photo release waiver. So whether if you are a high school student, a minor, you can sign one form. If you're at 18 or older, you can sign a different form. Also for adults is a National Sex Offender Registry verification, as well as the Safe School mandated reporter training. So these are the requirements. You will submit them to our Cognito website. You see an image of it on the right side of the screen. You will upload each certificate that you receive from the clearances. You do not have to send it all at once. You can upload a few that you get, click save. You'll receive a personal link. Then you can go back to it, upload the rest of the documents. Once you are done, you will hit submit. We will receive that. We'll review your documentation, make sure it's good to go, send you an email, says congratulations. You have completed all the tasks. Here is the site selection link. So that'll send you to a website where you can see a list of all of our sites and sign up for whichever location makes sense for you. Once you've done that, we will provide you with a start date along with first day instructions. So here's your site coordinator, here's the address, how to enter the building, and any other special tidbits for that site. And you'll get to serving. Here's our email address. If you have any questions that you are not able to ask now, you can send us an email afterwards. But this is your time. I will stop talking. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns that you may have for us at this time?
I I haven't received a site selection list. I did submit everything and got an email that said, oh, you've submitted everything, but I didn't get a site selection link.
I send out the site selection once you've completed clearances and attended orientation. So I think probably tomorrow morning I will send that email out to you guys with the site selection. Those of you who've done both, checked both the boxes.
I just had one other question, but it might be like an offline thing because it's probably longer than we have time for. But I'm just sort of wondering about like if you have a child that can read, like how much time should you be spending reading to them, and how much time should you be trying to get them to read? I'm just
Yeah.
sort of
There's no formula. It depends because this is child guided. It depends on what the child wants to do. So I can actually say recently I visited Anderson. I was there to just observe, but I was like, oh, there's an extra kid, so I'll sit down and serve as a reading coach. And I was like, wow, he can read pretty well. He chose which books that he wanted to read, and there were some words that he missed, and so I made him go back. I'm like, oh, sound that word out. You know, you can't just skip over the word. I noticed that he while he was reading pretty well, he paused sometimes at appropriate punctuation and sometimes he didn't. So that was also something that I'm like, well, you see a period versus an exclamation point versus a question mark. So there's ways that you can still pull out things to work on. And again, meanings of words or making connections because it's about the enjoyment as well as the skills that we're building.
right. But
Just
let's
as
say
an example.
right, but if
Mhm.
you have a kid that knows how to read, but they just want you to read to them, like, do you just do that the whole time? Read to them?
Sure, why not? Make it fun. Maybe you can act it out. Maybe you can come up with your own ending at the end of the book. Draw it out. Say, what if we changed these Red Riding Hood instead of her being, eaten by a wolf, maybe there's, I don't know, another animal. You can create different activities along with that.
We have some, just to chime in here, we have some volunteers who are actively, I talked to someone today who's actively creating a comic book strip with their student. So you can really do anything you want. We have people playing hangman, uh, creating their own books if they want to write a poem one day, or, just continuing on with the literacy journey, kind of just encouraging them to go farther.
Hmm. Thank you for the question. Any other questions? This is your
There
time.
was, sorry, I'm in the dark now. It's now the evening. There was a question in the chat about clearances. If you already have clearances, maybe from a previous job or volunteer position, they are valid for 5 years from the date that you got the record check back. So it'll have a date on the clearance. So you can submit those to us if they are still good for the next 5 years or however many years.
Great question. We always forget that one day we'll add that to the slides too. They're good for 5 years.
And Faith asked about the fingerprints for the FBI check. You should be getting an email with the confirmation. You might also receive something in the mail. Um, Keep an eye out. The document you receive might not actually say anything about fingerprints on it. So send
Is
whatever you receive. And
is 2 weeks about
it
normal? Is it
it
a long time?
it shouldn't be more than 2 weeks. I will say that. Not for the fingerprints. But Faith, if
The
you want to send an email about that specifically to me, I can try to help you a little bit more.
I
Okay,
think
great.
mine
Yeah.
was turned around in like a matter of days, like 4 or 5 days.
Oh, really? No, I
Yeah.
haven't seen anything back. The government was closed, so I don't know if maybe the FBI wasn't working. That might have been a problem.
It's a very valid point.
I just wanted to clarify, as an OST director, I need my clearances submitted as well.
No,
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 okay.
not to us. Nope, you're good.
All right, just checking.
Hmm. Good question. For where to submit the clearances, when we send a follow-up email, which will include this slide deck, the link to our document library, you'll also have access to the link for submitting your clearances.
And I'm going to put it in the chat right now.
Thank you, Ty. Any other questions? We're excited, pumped, ready to go, ready to get started and meet our kids.
One last
Absolutely.
question. When do you bring people on as they clear, or do you have a session start and everyone starts at the same time?
Great question. So for this season, as we are approaching many holidays, it feels like so many holidays. So our cutoff point for this season will be December 1st. So getting your clearances to us, attending this orientation, which you've already done, we will place you, if you've done all of that, by December 1st. If your information comes in after December 1st, we'll just wait until the new year because the kids will be going on break. They'll have a lot of time off, so we'll just start you up in January. The official final cutoff is the end of February, so we will no longer be accepting documentation for reading coaches or to place reading coaches for this school year. So you can still submit your paperwork, but you'll just be on hold until next school year.
Mhm. Thank you.
Any other questions? I saw lots of hearts and thumbs ups. We're ready. We are always at your disposal. So you have our email address, our phone number, all of that information is on the website as well. We're happy to support you virtually, in person. I think we had a volunteer come up here today. He said, I would like a shirt. I'd like a PRC shirt. And we said, sure, we can help you out with that. So he came to get some merch today. So we're very open to all of that. So if you have any questions or comments, let us know. Stevie, do you have time to meet tomorrow just to follow up to today's conversation?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I have time after this if you do, but we can do tomorrow as well.
Well, it is evening now, Stevie. But yeah,
I know, but I just in case.
yeah,
Evening
well,
to
no,
me starts at 5, so
It
it's
is dark
freshly
outside.
evening.
it's dark. But Stevie, you know what? Yes, I will stay on. So if you want to hang on, we can talk. We're starting up at Logan, guys. Stevie's at Logan, so let's give her a shout out and a clap. We're so happy. When you get your sign up link, you will see Logan, and so just remember Stevie when you are making your selection. All right. If there's nothing else, everyone else is welcome to get dinner and
Follow-up
enjoy the rest
emails
of
will
their
be
evening.
coming out tomorrow, so keep an eye out for those and feel free to shoot us an email whenever you want.
Okay. Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you all. All right. I always forget how to, there we go. I can stop sharing. All right.
Get out of here.
Any other questions from anyone? Are we okay?
Okay, I have to get somewhere at 6, so I will see y'all.
Your day
Yeah.
is still
Do you
going?
have something, Oceana?
Oh no, I was just gonna say I also have to hop off.
Oh, okay.
But
They're leaving me, Stevie. You see how it is? It's
It's
okay.
fine.
I have a community meeting to go to.
No, I understand. Thank you guys for
You
your
guys are
time.
still working? Oh my gosh.
Bye.
Okay. Bye,
Working is
guys.
a loose term. All right, bye.
Yeah.
See y'all.
See you tomorrow.